Today's topic is all about writing with a partner or a collaborator. If you've got 5 minutes, I've got 5 tips to help you figure out how to do it well. There's an old meme that I'm sure you've heard, and you may have even heard it applied to yourself. Does not play well with others. If somebody were going to write the epitaph for my tombstone, they would probably put that on it if they wanted to know how I did my writing through the years. I spent 26 years in academia, and in academia it is the norm for people to write with partners, for there to be 2 or 3 or even 7 authors on an academic paper, for example. I was different. My papers were solo authored almost entirely, and all of the books that I wrote while I was an academic were all written by me, and not me with a collaborator. So I don't play well with others, but I recognize that there are times when it might be appropriate to use a partner. Now, I did say that I write by myself almost all the time. Let me tell you a story about how I got a writing partner. Back many years ago, when I was primarily a health and medical writer, I was in the unique position of being married to someone who happened to be a content expert in a particular medical area, and that was medical ethics. He was the subject expert, and I was the writing and communications expert on the project. But of course, I also had a background in health science and health communication, which helped me to work with him easily. Now, as you can imagine, husband and wife working on a project has its own issues, but we were able to work together as mutually respected colleagues, and we were able to learn a few things about a process that would help us work together and write books together. And I learned a few things that I would like to share with you. So before I get to my 5 tips, let's think a bit about why you might work with a collaborator. So by definition, a collaborator is a person who works jointly on an activity or project. As far as I'm concerned, the main reason that you might choose to work with a partner is because each of you has something unique to add to the project. Be aware, though, that working as a member of a 2-person team doesn't cut the work in half. It may cut it down by 1/3, but it certainly doesn't cut it in half, so keep that in mind. Now, here are my 5 tips. Tip number 1. Your collaborator's skills should complement your skills, not duplicate them. This will add considerably to the project, and it will actually cut down on conflicts. If you and your writing partner both have the exact same set of skills, you might as well write the project yourself. Tip number 2, make sure that your collaborator's passion for the project is at least equal to yours. If one of you is more passionate about the project than the other one is, then the work will be lopsided. And this can lead to conflicts. Tip number 3, set some ground rules for the writing process itself. When my husband and I were working together, we developed a 3-step process. We both contributed to the initial discussions about the content and approach to the project and made copious notes at that time. Then, I, as the writer, actually wrote the first draft. It is very difficult to write with someone writing with you at the same time or over your shoulder. So the person with those particular writing skills should be the one doing the writing. Our 3rd step in the process was that we then both reviewed, and then we discussed it and edited together. Tip number 4, agree up front on how the decisions will be made. Who gets the last word in the editing process, for example? Whose name goes first on the cover of the book or on the byline of the magazine piece? So will you be like Emma McLaughlin and Nicola Krauss, who wrote the Nanny Diaries, and choose one name and then the other? Or are you going to be more like the husband and wife writing team, Judith Bernard and Michael Fain, who wrote their novels under the name Judith Michael? Tip number 5, maintain your sense of humor and mutual respect for one another throughout the process. You know, working with someone else can ease the burden in many ways, but it can also increase the burden if you haven't set ground rules and you don't maintain this sense of humor, and you don't respect one another throughout the process. A sense of humor and humility is going to help you to see your partner's perspective when you don't agree on things. And you're not always going to agree on everything. I sometimes think about what Stephen Covey wrote in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, when he said, "Seek first to understand, then to be understood." It really helps with the process. When you work with a collaborator, a partner in your writing, especially in fiction, you give up some control, and in fiction you give up some creative control. And for many writers, this is a deal breaker. They would never work with someone else. But if you think your project might be better done by 2, and you found the right partner with the complementary skills who you respect, then you should go for it. And I wish you the best of luck in finding that right partner. Subscribe to Write, Fix, Repeat. And maybe I can help you improve your writing knowledge and skills. 5 tips at a time.